bit more about that, please, Ari.
So, morning, Jonathan, and thanks for the opportunity to speak with you. I think the significance really of the day is that it's quite important for us to raise awareness of the gender gap and the inequality, really, of women being represented in the areas of STEM, science, technology, engineering, maths. And the reason for that is that we know that jobs of the future, 80% of jobs of the future are really going to revolve around STEM. And so it's critical that we actually address the issue of why women are so underrepresented in the areas of STEM. I mean, we know that, for example, only 28% of engineering graduates are women. Now, there's something fundamentally wrong with that. And so we need to understand what exactly is the problem. We need to try and create heightened awareness on a day like today. And besides awareness, to actually look for some solutions in this regard.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Ari. It really does. So in terms of that, just, what are some of the practical things? And I'm thinking specifically of parents who have young girls who maybe show an affinity for science. What would your advice be with regard to that?
So I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think it is about parental encouragement. I mean, it's about really changing society's perception of what women should or shouldn't be doing. We still, to some extent, live in the dark ages of that women should not be studying those kind of sectors, and clearly that's wrong. And so we need to change societal norms. We need to encourage teachers as well as parents to encourage young girls and women to enter these professions. And so I think the one thing that we need to do is we need to create opportunity. And the question is, how do you really create that opportunity? I mean, we know that in South Africa, less than half of the matriculants land up getting 30% or more for mathematics. We know that only half of kids who start in grade 1 actually land up in matric. So if you think about it in those terms, you're talking about such a low percentage of students who actually land up graduating in maths, science, etc., from a matric level even. And so the question is, how do we change that? And I think we have an amazing opportunity in 2022. And that is one of the things that we've embraced in Boston Online Home Education is about online education. And the reason I say we have an opportunity is because we have an opportunity to use technology to create an environment where we can identify exactly what students know and what they don't know. We can do a gap analysis, and we can tell you that you can add and subtract fractions, but you can't divide. And then, and most importantly, we can create an environment which is not intimidating, where you're learning online. And you can actually, once you've identified the gaps, you can address those gaps in your own time and at your own pace. And once you've learned how to rectify that, you can then practice. And most importantly, which I think is a big factor in South Africa, is that you can do it in a non-intimidating environment. So you do it in your own time, your own pace, online. You continually test yourself, so you see how you're doing. And you can practice. And then if you need access to a teacher, the teacher's on the other side of the screen. You can literally log on and almost get personal attention. So I think we're living in an environment that is really exciting. We're living in an age in which we can embrace technology, and we can finally address the problems of the lack of representation of girls and women in areas of STEM.
I love that. Thank you so much, Ari. That's so good. So just for those who maybe joined us a little bit late, the 11th of February today commemorates the International Day for Women and Girls in Science. And this day promotes the need to achieve gender equality and empowerment of women and girls in the field of science, addressing the need to achieve full and equal access and participation in science, and how creating awareness will help gender diversity in the field will definitely benefit everyone. So we've been chatting to Ari Katz. He's the executive at Boston Online Home Education. And Ari, one last question just from my side as we wrap things up. In terms of that thing of creating spaces, because it's one thing to have maths and science at school level. It's another thing, obviously, at university level, but then finding work and employment, that sometimes is a challenge for those tertiary educated individuals, and especially if they are ladies. Just talk to us, how do we solve that issue?
So I think there are a couple of issues that you're addressing over there. First of all, in commerce and industry, we have to encourage commerce and industry to embrace the taking women into those positions. Separate from that, you spoke about how do we ensure that graduates actually find jobs. So that's a very interesting question. And what we found at Boston, in Boston City campus, is that it's a science in actually finding jobs. And so we created a program called Graduate Support Services, where any Boston graduate can join a program free of charge, and it's free upon graduating, where you join a 6-month program where we teach you how to actually go out there and find a job. And we know that in the digital age, finding a job is very different from just simply sending out your CV. So it's about teaching graduates how to trawl the net, how to apply online, how to use things like LinkedIn, etc., how to create your CV and your cover letter such that you pass the necessary filters and you land up in front of the interviewer. So there's a whole science today about finding a job, which is very different from the old days. And so we've created this program, Graduate Support Service. It's available free to any Boston graduate. You join the program for 6 months, and we actually help you actually find a job. We're not promising anyone a job, and clearly we cannot do that. It's really about empowering. I mean, you used the word empowering a little earlier. It's about empowering graduates with the necessary tools to actually navigate the digital landscape.
So good. Last question, Ari, where can people find out more about what you guys are doing online and what you're doing in terms of maths and science?
Right. So in terms of the school arena and maths and science, it's really about bostononline.co.za or bostononlinehighschool.co.za or info@bostononline.co.za. And we're happy to provide advice to learners throughout the country. And interestingly enough, the one thing that I would encourage students or learners who are studying at regular schools is to maybe join an online extracurricular program where you have an opportunity, besides what's going on in the classroom, in an online environment, to, number one, as I said before, to identify your gaps, to close those gaps, and to practice online in a non-threatening environment, in a very secure environment where you can learn at your own time, own pace. You can test yourself, you can practice, and you've got access to a live teacher in the event that you need that. And I really think that we're living in the digital age. Let's embrace that age. Let's use the technologies that we have available to actually solve the problems of this country.
Ari, once again, thank you for your time and thank you for chatting to us. It's so important.
Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you.